I just wanted to also add on to the conversation that Sister Roz and Sister Anna E was having about the mind, and I also wanted to speak about the genius of Noble Drew Ali when he spoke about the power of love. Now, when I say that, I want to speak about the power of the heart. Okay, and some of the research that I've been doing, it speaks about the power of the heart, okay, being the center that emanates the most energy from our bodies, and the effect that the law of resonance, the effect that our heart and our feelings, the emotions, the energy and motion that rests within our heart, our beliefs, and all of these things that rest within our heart, going all the way back into ancient Kemet, where they speak about one's heart being as light as a feather in order to, be accepted into quote-unquote heavens. And, so we speak about the mind, but we also speak about the heart. And we also speak about being able to exemplify the principles of love, being able to love one another, being able to, love our neighbors, you know what I'm saying? Even at times of war, loving ourselves and loving our people, you know what I mean? And going into war with love rather than hate, and the destructive manners of what hate will do to one. And seeing our people suffer, and seeing generations of our people suffer, and seeing, nations suffer because of the self-hatred and the fact that a lot of our hearts are heavy, a lot of our hearts and a lot of our minds have been enslaved with, like Sister Anna E. was saying, the lack of discipline, because we live in this electrified age of the internet where, a man with no discipline is a slave to the internet. He will be under all kind of attacks. You feel what I'm saying? Because everything is at his fingertips. There's no, there's no level of...
There's no filters.
There's no filters. So not only will he believe whatever he or she reads, whatever's put in front of him or her, but, he or she will be able to explore any of their wildest fantasies, any of their weaknesses and things of that nature. It will begin to take them over, okay? Because we live in this era of media that we don't control, and that I grew up in an era where there were 5 channels or 6 channels. Now there's 600 channels, and all of the TV shows, the majority of them, for anybody who watches TV, cable, things of that nature, we know that the depictions that they have of our people are one of a completely negative state. When they tell our history, it's from a revisionist and a reconstructed standpoint. It's done to put us in an inferior mind state, and it's never going, and it has never told our proper story. So although the slave narrative, the movies that carry the slave narrative, have gems of truth in them, overall, the main purpose of those movies are to program the subconscious, because time is not linear. Time is centrifugal, so everything is happening at once. So if they put you in, if they come out with these movies, The Help, The Butler, 12 Years a Slave, Roots, I just saw an article where they said that they're going to create a Roots miniseries now. And all of these movies, you won't see the European in bondage anymore. Okay, you won't see the European in his natural state that he was in the 1800s or 1700s. They're doing movies like Exodus and Moses and all of these other Noah and all of these other movies that are subliminally programming people's subconscious to put them in a seat of history that they never were in. They were never in. But because all is mental, if we agree to that, in these days and times, if the melanated people who are viewing these movies agree to that, then that's what it is. And if we agree to the images that they're depicting us in in the past, and we agree to that we were in an inferior state, then that's what it is, and it will reflect in the present day time, and it will affect our future as well. So the uptick.
Yeah, you're right, and that's exactly what has occurred, because it's like the prophet said, hey, wake up. You are in a mental slavery. And I hear what you're saying. You're saying the effects of that is what we're looking at. So now what that means, I would think, is that we're looking at just how much work has to be done. A lot of people will be recycled, but the damage that will come as a result of twisted minds is what we're looking at now. Right. And so what is the resolve to that? You know, one of the resolves to that is that we start we have to start. I don't even like to say we have to start somewhere, because everybody starts in the same place coming through, and that is through the womb. So the mothers will have to start redirecting, and children are going to do. That's why our answers are. That's why this is about birth rate. You know what I'm saying? Because you're right.
Yes.
The damage is done. It's like we already got damaged goods, right?
Not necessarily. I would say that the work is being done. I would say that, you know, I would say, because remember that they're utilizing mediums, and they're utilizing different avenues, rather, to do their programming, such as entertainment. But, you know, we live in the same way that we live in this electrified age that Noble Drew Ali spoke about, okay? We also have the power, because we live in this electrified age, we also have the power to redefine our history, and thus doing so will redefine our present and our future. So at the end of the day, the work that's being done on multiple fronts by multiple individuals and multiple schools of thought and knowledge is the quote-unquote resistance to that matrix. It is the resistance, because if that didn't exist, it would be completely tsunamied and washed. Our people would be in perpetual. We would be on physical plantations if that did not. If that didn't exist. If there was no fight. If there was no push. Huh?
Could you imagine?
I don't even want to imagine that. You feel me?
Yeah, we are on physical. You ask me, some people still are on physical plantations.
No, they are. I'm speaking about if they let's exclude a Noble Drew Ali out of the picture. Let's exclude an Elijah. Let's exclude a Marcus Garvey. Let's say that they never existed. Let's say that they never put in that kind of work 100 years ago. Where would our people be right now? Let's just say they just gave you preachers, they just gave you pimps, they just gave you anything else.
You know what? That's interesting, because I had a conversation with Taj once about this whole. I said, why do we even create this foreign? No, you know, and it's gonna go back to you talking about exclude this, exclude that. You're right. Think about it for a second. And he was saying, well, if we hadn't, like, now, a sister Valerie, when I went to her classes, she said, look, we created them to absorb our karma. And so what she was, what would have happened, and what ties to that is, what would have happened to us had we not done that? So it kind of goes along the same line of what you say now. What would happen to us had we not? You know, that's like the thing. What if?
Because, exactly, because, you know, for one who has been to the bottom, you know, who's hit rock bottom, you know, or one who has been through adversity. They speak about the power of adversity. They speak about, you know, the power of resistance and what it would do to, you know, the individual who is who's putting up that resistance. Or we could just use the analogy of coal and the pressure that eventually creates the diamond, you know. So I would say that, you know, I've been challenged many times in my life, and I can't fathom who I would have been if it were not for those challenges, correct?
Right.
And what it did to me to create the person that I am now. In my many reincarnations, I'm not just speaking about this lifetime. I'm speaking about multiple lifetimes, and I'm speaking about, you know, the journey that I'm currently on. You know, not having the resources that I want, not being materialistic, having thousands of dollars in my pocket like I did when I was younger, but I had no purpose and I had no goal and I had no aim at that point. I had no responsibilities, you know what I mean? But now I do. So what is making me more creative? It's making me invent more. It's making me come up with more ideas. You feel what I'm saying? So as a people, because we're in this situation, because we're in this position, because we have so much pressure on us, the only thing that it can create is a diamond at the end of the day. There's nothing else.
You know what? You're absolutely right, and I have to say this. What you just did is a lesson also on reflection, because, like you said, there's many people out there who've had it all, or quote-unquote had it all, didn't know what to do with it or whatever. And I say that if it's something that you truly want to possess, there is a flip side to everything, right? That's the polarity to it. And if you really, really want it, you got to know the other side. So for a situation where, yes, I had it all, I would say that a person has to know has to have experience to be without and to be with. And to be with in order to truly appreciate whatever it is that they desire to have. So that is a part of that cycle, and it does it's like this, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
Stronger. So it just goes back into the analogy of who we are, were we not the haves. As a people, as a civilization, we were the haves, and we knew of the have-nots. We could point them out, like, oh, the have-nots, they're over there. Look, in the mountains. You see them? Those are the have-nots. So
well, I'll tell you this, how we're going to end that one. I mean, well, we're going to go back to a quote that Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, so we can know what truly is, what we truly possess, which we're endowed in grace with, because he said, and I was trying to figure this out, and I think I got it now. He said, you are rich, my children.
You are rich, my children. Yep.
Yes.
It's all inside of us.
Exactly.
It is all inside.
Sarcophagus open, red-hooded cloak soaking of oils essential, glowing from my mental. Some slide with a coward glide out the temple. Arrogant, egotistical, pseudo-mysticals. Silence from lips telepathic and graphic. I'm communicating with identified ships, objects flying in zigzag and symmetric patterns. My pyramid core looks like a cavern, spiritual war reflecting off the raging cauldron water bubbles. No burning wood smell, no heat but cough doubles. No smoke watching broken puddles. Glass flowing, grass growing, foaming, smoking nozzles to minds. My words are fossils, colossal. Dirty moors appearing as doubting apostles. Glowing lower chakras, fireflies in bottles. Won't give enough light and minds to get me out the darkness. Spirits around me, soul and heartless. All five senses, shock watching, a walking carcass. Wires poking out from foreheads, blink to answer iPhones. Mouth tubes going through nose to lungs to smoke hydro. One time I traveled so far, chasing a star, dodging comets, zooming past quasars. One time I traveled so far, chasing a star, dodging comets, zooming past quasars. One time I traveled so far, chasing a star, zooming past comets, dodging quasars. One time I traveled so far, chasing a star, zooming past comets, dodging quasars. MC sarcophagus open, from slaves to cyborg psychos, hatching through the door as rage leaks from pores. Black hole, not vinyl, watching it spiral. Disciple of the archetypal, hip-hop revival. I'm pulses versus suicidal impulses. Bonafide genocide, I'm crucifying vultures, not absorbing into cultures. Burst out like Gamma Bay, I'm like Alhambra days. My they live sunglasses are not rapper shades. I'm seeing aliens with locks and turbans, not grays. Floating off the platform, greeting me with Islam gestures. Blue flame corkscrew around scepters, using a portal as an entrance. Galactic world pendants with some solar flare, double helix necklace. Couldn't believe what I'm seeing, I gotta get this. One time I traveled so far, chasing a star, dodging comets, zooming past quasars. One time I traveled so far, chasing a star, dodging comets, zooming past quasars.